go back to the spark, if you will, December 17, 2010, when the young man Mohammed Bouazizi lit himself on fire, and in a sense lit the region on fire at the same time. If we go back to what he said as he was booted out of the municipality in Sidi Bouzid, and when his permit was taken away and he could not provide for his family, he could not provide for his brothers and sisters and parents, he did not say, "Viva democracy." He did not say, "Long live liberty, give me liberty or give me death." He said, "How am I supposed to make a living?" There is a D word here that's important, and it may not be democracy, but it is dignity. And now to some people, that is defined as, democratic rights, and political freedoms. To some, it's defined as the dignity of being able to hold a job and not graduating from college and having to, do menial labor, And so dignity is defined in many different ways, but I would argue that all of these revolts were dignity revolts.
Of course, part of the problem was that expectations were too high. After the president of Tunisia and the president of Egypt left in a very relatively short period of time. But then developments in Syria were rather sobering. And many thought that the model in our part of the world would follow the East European model. But East European model was rather easy because they had a model to follow, which is the European Union, and they had the help of the European Union. And it was merely a transition. But what is happening in our region is much more fundamental. It's a battle over values, a war of ideas, a battle between forces of modernity and fundamental religious forces, and too much is at stake.
A lot of Europeans are saying we should stay out of this. I think it's wrong. I think we have to be involved into that. First of all, because it's our neighborhood. Secondly, because of many reasons. We are a major economic player in that region, in terms of trade, in terms of direct investment. And also, as I was saying before, because of the terrorist threat that is there, our own security is at stake.
In 2011 and onwards, the events in Middle East, North Africa, that was the acid test of Turkish diplomatic outreach. Soft power is an extremely charming concept, but very difficult to measure. And I think that's what we have seen. Yes, Turkish soap operas have been watched everywhere in Middle East, North Africa. Yes, everybody was coming on holidays. But half of the region was also extremely disturbed about the Turkish resurgence. King Abdullah of Jordan made no secret that he was really despising Erdogan. King of Morocco made no secret. And in fact, in Egypt, when I spoke to half of the Muslim Brotherhood, people, even at the height of Erdogan love in Egypt, which quickly turned into Erdogan hate over the last few months, half of Muslim Brotherhood said, "Oh, these guys are not Islamists, they're showmen, they're a disgrace." So Turkish charm in Middle East, North Africa was wide, but a lot thin than actually Turks perceived it to be. The veil of glooming Turkish success has been lifted. I think we have seen that Turkish does not have the diplomatic machinery or the deep power that it has aspired to.
There are too many important dimensions to the Middle East that cannot be overlooked or cannot be ignored. And the US will, in the foreseeable future, remain the superpower of the world.
Hassan Rouhani, the new president of Iran, can probably agree with President Obama on one thing: that Iran's economy is collapsing and deteriorating. In fact, Hassan Rouhani, in one of his first interviews with the Iranian media, he was asked about the IMF figures for Iran's growth, which were put it at -2%. And Hassan Rouhani said, "No, the IMF is wrong. Iran's economic growth is -5%.
As for the future prospect, unfortunately, I feel it will get much worse before it gets better, because polarization is deepening, and there is a lack of effective leadership. Unfortunately, in a sense, the difficulties are bigger than the men.